From Singapore, a white ship of the Dutch line brings us to Batavia, capital of Java. Our vessel approaches the modern docks of Tanjung Priok, one of the most up-to-date harbors in the Orient. And as we are anxious to visit the Dutch colonial metropolis, we lose no time in going ashore. We could see the city from a motor car, but for a novel experience, prefer to ride on one of the strangest street railways in the world, the steam tram. At the powerhouse, steam is forced into the fireless locomotive, enough to pull the tram about 30 miles through Batavia streets without recharging. Notice how neat and clean the tram is, and it is airy too, for there are no doors or glass windows. We glide smoothly along the well-kept streets through the two sections of the city. In Batavia Centrum, the newer part of the city, occupied mostly by European residences and business houses, is the palace of the Governor-General. Since Jan Petersen Koen founded Old Batavia in 1619, the Dutch have slowly extended their dominance in the Indies until today they rule over an area 62 times larger than the mother country. In Java are to be found many splendid hotels. Ahead of us is the famous Hotel des Andes. It is difficult to imagine we are so many thousands of miles from what we had considered comforts of civilization, when we see such evidences on all sides in this remote island of the Dutch. This modern building is the recently erected terminus of the efficient railway system that serves all parts of Java. In the section of the city known as Old Batavia are many Dutch and foreign business firms, but it is mostly occupied by shops and homes of Chinese and Javanese. Batavia, like Amsterdam, has many canals which serve many purposes. Every day is wash day here, for not only native washing, but also nearly all European laundry work is done in the canals. The Javanese use the canals for swimming, but a typical and more refreshing method of bathing is to pour water over themselves and allow evaporation to cool the body. Java abounds in strange and interesting sights. In Yogyakarta, we see the retinue and bodyguard of a nobleman on his way to pay an official visit to the Sultan. Yogyakarta and Surakarta are the only two remaining principalities, native states, still nominally ruled by sultans. The little army passes between the double walls of the Kraton, the palace of the sultan. They still wear their fez-like head coverings and dress in sarongs of handmade batik. Bullock carts are used by the natives for some of their hauling. The pace of the animals is slow, but then time means very little to the Javanese. Human labor is more plentiful and cheaper, so most of the trucking is done by coolies, and women as well as men labor under back-bending burdens. A load of empty petrol tins that are much in demand, for they are used for many things. Here's one use to which they are put. A variety of pots and pans, handmade, very cheap, yet quite serviceable. Rug beaters, doormats, feather dusters, brushes and brooms, everything to keep the home clean. And moving's a simple matter in Java too. for anything is carried by coolies. Nothing's too large or heavy, and even the grand piano is easily carried. A shop for batik, the native cloth from which many Javanese garments are made. Javanese batik is known all over the world. The best comes from Jogja. Most of it is made by women during their spare time at home. If worked on continually, about 10 days would be required to decorate even a simple sarong, while elaborate patterns would take many months to complete. With a little instrument called a chanting, a sort of batik fountain pen, a solution of melted wax and rosin is applied as a pattern to those portions of the material not to be dyed. It's tedious work, for both sides of the material must be covered with the identical design. When more than one color is wanted, some of the wax is removed after the first dyeing, another pattern applied, and the cloth re-dyed. When the colors have set, the material is dipped in warm water to remove the wax, and the batik is finished. In father's spare time, he takes care of the baby. Heavy tropical showers come suddenly during the rainy season. As the downpour usually does not last long, the Javanese pay little attention to it and keep right on with their work. After the shower is over, the fertile ground soon absorbs all traces of the rain. Near Jogja is one of the world's great spectacles, the Borobudur, perhaps the most perfect Buddhist monument in existence. It was built about the 8th century, not as a temple, but as a memorial, and it is believed that some of the ashes of the Buddha are buried here. For centuries, the Borobudur was forgotten, covered by earth and vegetation, and only in recent time was it found and restored. Along the walls of the terraces, there are more than 2 miles of bas-reliefs, depicting the mythical and actual life of the Buddha. There are 505 statues of the Buddha. Many still remain within these bell-shaped stone cupolas. Native tourists come every day to visit the Borobudur, and pilgrims come to pray and burn incense before some of the many images. Buddhism and Hinduism have given way to Mohammedanism in Java, and little remains of the earlier religions but monuments of the past. A great monument of the Hindu religion is the Prambanan, a group of ancient temples now in ruins. We make our way to Surabaya, the chief commercial city of the Dutch East Indies. We find it a modern and very busy metropolis. Native officers efficiently direct the traffic, which is the heaviest of any city in Java. The main Surabaya office of the electric services, owned and operated by the government. The recently erected municipal building, housing the many public offices of this thriving and prosperous city. The tower, when built, was the tallest structure in Netherlands, India. A visit to Java would not be complete without partaking of a rice topple, the famous meal of the East Indies. 18 waiters served 90 different dishes at this repast. However, at some rice tables, there are as many as 300 varieties of edibles served. As the name suggests, the first course of this elaborate meal is rice, and plenty of it. To it are added many kinds of meats, fish, fowl, eggs, spices, sauces, condiments, and nuts, until finally the plate is filled with the an astounding mixture of food, so tempting that one frequently overeats, and therefore it's not hard to understand why it is so easy to lose one's figure in Java. A toast to Java, the garden of the East.